Tonight on Elan Local News.
Protests, violence, and now no leader. More on the future of Ukraine and one Elan professor's experiences in the country.
This year on SGA, we have done something incredible, and we have been able to really make sure that the students' wants have been what the students get.
Students will now see new faces around the student government office, but this Elan Jr. is more than just an executive. More on the man behind the nameplate coming up.
All the roads that you travel are paved smoothly. Hills and valleys, challenges, but you get there if you want to.
How one former Elan student paved the way for current students. Your campus, your news. Good evening, Elan. I'm Brenda McDavid.
And I'm Alex Rose. The news you need to know starts right now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us.
Tonight we're following stories at Elan and across the globe, but first we begin with new information about a string of drug busts. 3 Elan students are facing multiple drug-related charges after they were arrested in separate incidents this weekend. According to Elan Town Police, former Elan football player Jake Thomas Elliott faces 3 charges. These include felony possession of cocaine, misdemeanor possession of marijuana, and misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia. Elliott was on the team until December. Elan Local News spoke with Associate Director of Communications Chris Rash, who said he would not tell us why Elliott is no longer on the team. Elliott is scheduled to appear in court on March 12th. Elan Town Police also confirmed freshman David Thomas May is charged with felony possession with intent to sell and deliver marijuana and misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia. He is scheduled to appear in court on March 5th. And finally, Elan senior Nathan Fisher is charged with 5 counts: felony possession of cocaine, felony possession of marijuana, felony of manufacturing marijuana, felony of maintaining a dwelling, and misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia. His court date is March 12th. And for continuing coverage on these court dates, visit elanlocalnews.com as we follow this story.
Now we turn to news happening across the globe. After a week of bloodshed and violence, the future of Ukraine still remains unclear. Today, Ukraine's interim government issued a warrant for the arrest of Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych. The government voted to remove President Yanukovych from power this weekend, leaving the country without a leader. 82 people died last week in the clashes that took place in the city of Kiev. The Ukrainians are protesting the president's decision to reject a trade agreement with the European Union. Today, Elan professor of economics Vitaly Strohush joins us in the studio. Strohush is from Ukraine and is here to tell us more about the conditions. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So why don't we just start real quick with, could you tell us a little bit about your background?
So I'm originally from Ukraine, from Lviv. It's located in the western part of Ukraine. I did my bachelor and master degrees there. Then I went to the United States, got my PhD here in Boston College, and got a job at Elan University.
And these protests are taking place in Independence Square. Have you ever been there? Can you describe to us a little bit about what it's like there?
Yeah, not during the protest, but yeah, of course I was there, and my members of my family were there. But protests are not just in Kiev, the protests are actually all over Ukraine. You know, that's why it's like so, like the whole country is raised against our Viktor Yanukovych, ex-former president.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you talked with any family and friends over there, and how do they describe what's happening?
Scary. You know, like when you see like bodies, a lot of bodies on the square, and there is blood everywhere, it's a very scary situation.
How do you think this is going to affect the country's future? What are the repercussions?
So there are 2 things that I think are important. First of all, you know, our government is already interim government recognized by the Western, by European Union, by United Kingdom, by the United States, but it's not clear what will be the position of Russia. In particular, there is a risk that Russia may get involved, like military involvement, in particular in Crimean Peninsula. And another thing, Ukraine is on the brink of default. So, and depending on the economic package that's going to be put in place, negotiation with IMF, EU, and United States, the amount of, I think it's roughly about 20 billions US dollars that have to be put into the country. It's like completely robbed. So, you know, situation is critical right now. And
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining us again. We really
My
appreciate your
pleasure.
time.
And another member of the Elan community has a connection to Ukraine, and Elan sophomore Jessica Dorcas is no stranger to Ukraine. She has traveled to the country every summer for the last 6 years for missions work. Dorcas says she hopes Ukraine's upcoming presidential elections can secure a positive future for its people.
Last week, Elan Local News told you about some changes that could be coming to downtown Elan. Our Katie Kaler is live in downtown Elan with more on the students' reaction to the changes. Katie?
Alex and Brennan, the downtown area of Elan is going to be redeveloped by town aldermen. The student houses could be in jeopardy. I spoke with a couple of students who are concerned about the change.
Thank you so much for being here. You were fantastic.
are you sure?
I'm so sure, yeah.
We want to apologize for technical difficulties. We'll continue on with the show now.
Samuel Warren, Darian Flowers, Wellsford Bishopric, 3 men who represented Elan, and now the newest SGA president takes his seat on the executive staff. Our Gary Grumback has more.
Meet Joe and Corvia. This Elan Jr. will take over this room in the student government office on April 3rd. But there is more to Corvia than his nameplate.
I come from a small town in Connecticut and grew up in a really big Italian family, right? And so we are extremely close, extremely fun, extremely loud.
Corvia says family is a big part of his life, and it's the advice he gets from his family that helps him succeed.
My dad has always told me that, you know, no matter what you do in life, as long as you try your hardest, it'll be worth it.
Corvia is a biochemistry major with minors in neuroscience and psychology, and is committed to his education.
I've always been curious about learning as much as I can. Always love to meet new people and learn new things and have as much of an experience as I've had in anything that I do.
But you won't just find Corvia in the SGA office or the classroom. You might find him in the Performing Arts Center.
I took up piano while I was here at Elan. And it's always been something throughout, at least for as long as I've been playing. I started guitar my freshman year of high school. It's something that has always been an outlet for me to kind of escape. And it's not really something that a lot of people know that I'm passionate about, but it's something that gets me away from life and gets me to focus and relax.
Even though Corvia has a lot on his plate, he is still committed to his goals for the upcoming year.
This year on SGA, we have done something incredible, and we have been able to really make sure that the students' wants have been what the students get.
Gary Grumback, Elan Local News.
And Corvia has several goals for the next year. First, the increase in spirit across all sports. He says he recognizes the popularity of football and basketball on campus and hopes that sports like soccer and baseball develop that same following. And Corvia also wants to see change in Elan's intellectual climate. He believes the academic quality of the university could increase with student feedback on what works and what doesn't. And as a short-term goal, he hopes to fill the multiple open SGA positions by April.
And we spoke to Corvia's former opponent, Jessica Petrillo, about her plans to continue as a member of SGA despite losing the election.
I said, from the beginning, no matter what, SGA is going to get a great leader, and I'm really excited for Joe. I think he's going to have a great year. I'm not really sure what my involvement is going to look like next year. I know that I absolutely love Elan, and this doesn't change that at all.
Coming up.
We're like, well, I think we can actually do this, and we might actually want to do this, and it'd be fun.
From the classroom to the real world, how 3 Elan students are putting their skills to the test.
Different sides of who these guys are, who these kids are. You get to see them to interact among each other.
Elan professors are getting to know their students in a different way. Find out how coming up.
Men and women's basketball both played this weekend. Stick around and we'll have highlights from the games in this week's Sports Update. Graduation is less than 100 days away, and for seniors, that means the job search is in full force.
Our Jeff Ackerman is here with some tips on how to make yourself stand out in that big pile of resumes. Jeff?
Well, Alex and Brendan, applying for jobs and internships is no easy feat, but there are some ways you can stand out, and here are some tips. First, make connections. Your friends and family will be your best resources when it comes to applying for jobs, and don't be afraid to use them to help get your foot in the door. Also, be prepared, especially for your interviews. You want to make sure you know more about the company than the people you're up against. That means lots of research and studying up. And be sure to ask questions about the job you're applying for. That shows the employer that you're interested. Another tip, be friendly to everyone you meet at your interview. It might just be the receptionist, but sometimes a friendly hello and a smile can go a long way. Next, be active on social media. But remember, it's important to remain just as professional on your social media accounts as it is in your interviews. Employers will search your name on Google, and they want to make sure the person they find is the person they'd like to hire. Another great tip is writing thank you cards. No, not email. You'd be surprised how taking the time to write a handwritten note makes the difference. Looking out for the college consumer, I'm Jeff Ackerman. Back to you guys.
Many Elan students rock a preppy look. Some may just see it as a style, but our Carly Hilliard tells us how one group of students saw it as a business opportunity.
The Corey Business Center may be home to business classes, but another campus building is now the home to a new student company. Freshmen and hallmates Griffin Walno, Tyler Britt, and Ben Kleiman created the clothing company Coastal Prep Collection last fall, only months after meeting on the third floor of Smith.
We decided that the clothing, like the preppy clothing companies, they just charge so much, and we just wanted to have an affordable clothing that kids can buy.
And what started as an idea evolved into an independent business.
There came a point where we're like, well, I think we can actually do this, and we might actually want to do this, and it'd be fun. And we just kind of pulled the trigger.
So far, the group has sold about half of the 120 shirts from the first order. They're in the green profit-wise, but they say the whole process hasn't been smooth sailing.
Even though there was some doubt, because everybody says, clothing is not a good industry, and we have lots of competitors that are already really established.
They agree that starting the company as freshmen will give them an edge, both in the success of the company and the business world.
We put in a lot of work for this company, and now that we can see our work paying off, it's a relief, and it's a benchmark for us.
Being a business major, I know I could see myself hopefully starting another company up in the future, and just having this experience with these two guys has been just a great learning experience and making great friends throughout the way too.
They say customers can expect hats, fleeces, and other accessories in the next year. Carly Hilliard, Elan Local News.
The Coastal Prep crew says customers can give feedback on their products on the company's website, Facebook, and Twitter pages.
At the end of the day, many professors get in their cars, drive off campus, and go home. But for a few Elan professors, home isn't far away. Mary Kate Brogan has more.
After students get out of class, they go home to their dorm. But for some Elan professors, their home is also in the on-campus dorms.
It's like seeing the world from a different angle.
Professor Samuele Pardini lives in the Kennan Honors Pavilion with his wife and son. He is part of the Teacher, Scholar, and Residence program and moved in 3 years ago. He says he loves living alongside students.
You also see a different kind of different sides of who these guys are, who these kids are. You get to see them to interact among each other.
Pardini also says living with students has changed their perspectives on professors.
They see the professor not just as the professor, the one in the classroom that teaches and then grades you and you got to do the homework for.
Professor Vanessa Bravo lives in the International Pavilion. She said living on campus has brought many things to her attention.
Many students work very hard, and that's something that you hope or you assume when you do not live on campus, but here you actually see it.
John Dooley, Assistant Vice President for Student Life, runs the program and says he hopes to see it expand.
The goal will be that we'll have a faculty director for every residential neighborhood, so there will be at least one faculty member who will be living in every residential neighborhood.
Pardini agrees that this will benefit Elan as a whole.
My understanding of what the university is and who the students are and who I am as a faculty has totally been, you know, improved, like changed, transformed positively because of these.
Mary Kate Brogan, Elan Local News.
For more information on how to get involved with residential campus, visit the Elan website or email John Dooley at jdooley4@elan.edu.
This time last week, students and staff were headed back to classes after 3 days off due to snow. But the weather took a turn for the better this weekend. Our Bella Mazzola is in downtown Elan with more on what to expect this week. Bella?
Brennan and Alex, temperatures are pretty steady this week, but you will see a bit of a drop on Wednesday. Today there was a high of 57 and a low of 31. Tomorrow will be partly cloudy with a high of 57 but a low of 35 at night. But Wednesday, you'll want to bring out your winter jacket and scarf because we are looking at a few morning rain and snow showers. On Thursday, the temperature will go back to a high of 54 and clear skies. But keep the jacket close because during Thursday night, the temperature will drop to a low of 25. On Friday, we are looking at a high of 54 and a low of 31. The sun will be shining, but there will be a few clouds in the sky. On Saturday, get those umbrellas ready because there will be a few rain showers throughout the day. That's your forecast for the week, live in downtown Elan. I'm Bella Mazzola, Elan Local News.
And we apologize for some technical difficulties, but definitely not looking forward to that snow this Wednesday.
Coming up on Elan Local News.
Embarrassed, worthless, failure, all the negative feelings you can imagine.
More on one former Elan student's journey to get a college degree.
There's more to immigration in this country than border security in the U.S.-Mexico border, right? To connect the dots between the Mayflower and Ellis Island and Angel Island and what's happening now.
From the Philippines to the United States, how one man is fighting for change after spending some of his life under the radar.
The journey to Elan is not always an easy one for some students. Our Jasmine Turner spoke to one former student whose journey has left a lasting legacy.
When former Elan student Glenda Phillips Hightower began her Elan journey in 1960, she was entering a whole new world.
There was, in my community, there was fear and apprehension, and with my family, there was fear and apprehension. I didn't have that.
Phillips Hightower is a Burlington, North Carolina native. She was the first black student to attend Elan, which came with many challenges.
Representing my whole race, and that's too much to ask of anyone.
Despite America's racial climate in the 1960s, Phillips Hightower found Elan to be somewhat of a safe haven.
There were no guns. There were no soldiers. There was no community pressure. There were no marches. There was nobody heckling me to get off the campus.
During the fall of her sophomore year, Phillips Hightower got sick, eloped, and moved to Washington, D.C. She never completed her Elan education, something she regretted for many years.
Embarrassed, worthless, failure, all the negative feelings you can imagine.
But Phillips Hightower didn't give up. She attended various colleges and universities and eventually received her diploma from the University of Iowa.
Not all the roads that you travel are paved smoothly. Hills and valleys, challenges, but you get there. If you want to, and I wanted to.
Phillips Hightower now comes to Elan every spring for the Phillips Perry Black Excellence Awards.
Everybody gets an opportunity for education here. You hold a high standard, and you're well represented in the world.
And her legacy continues to live on today. Jasmine Turner, Elan Local News.
Phillips Hightower was recently honored by the Black Cultural Society of Elan.
Students and staff from colleges across the state joined the Elan community this weekend to hear an immigration advocate speak at the Intersect Conference. Our Michelle Alfini spoke with one of the speakers who shared his story.
I am here illegally without authorization. I'm not supposed to be here. But I, as a human being, am not illegal because no human being is.
Jose Antonio Vargas came to the United States from the Philippines when he was 12 years old, but it wasn't until he was 16 that he learned he was here illegally.
I was 16, there was no Google, there was no Wikipedia. I didn't really know who to trust. I didn't understand why my mother did that.
Vargas then decided to become a journalist.
I figured that if I didn't have the right papers to be in the country, what if my name was on the paper?
After working as a journalist for more than a decade, Vargas decided to tell his story in an essay published in the New York Times Magazine. His story challenges the stereotype of what it means to be an American.
We are not who you think we are. And at the core of that is asking this question of how do you define American?
Now he works as a filmmaker. He is currently touring the country showing his new documentary which highlights immigration issues. And Vargas believes students are the most willing to lead change.
It's an imperative to engage young people in states like this because they do have a voice and they need to use it.
The goal of the conference was to challenge the way people look at these issues, but Vargas says even a little bit of change is important.
If you can change even by a millimeter the way people look at reality, then you can change it.
Michelle Alfini, Elan Local News.
Vargas is currently touring the country, finding places like Elan to screen his documentary, Documented, which will air on CNN later this year.
And history was made at Alumni Gym Saturday afternoon. Find out who hit a major milestone coming up. So Saturday was senior day for the ladies, and before tip-off, both Kelsey Harris and Candace Silas were honored for their time here at Elan. Now Harris came into the game just 12 points shy of 1,000 for her career, and she would steal the show. Pick it up early in the first half. Wofford's Jordan Frazier tries to make a pass, but Harris says, "Nope, I'll take that." Drives down the court and puts up the easy two. Later on, Harris spreading the love. Dishes to Sam Coffer, who puts up a three and swish. Elan takes a 10-7 lead. Near the end of the first half, it's Harris with another steal, and this time she takes it down and whoop, little behind the back action there and gets the layup. Harris getting closer and closer to the 1,000 point mark.
Oh, thank you very much, Alex. There you go. You saw Harris get it. Harris there, here with the drive, and she makes the layup, draws the foul. She's now 1 point away from scoring 1,000 for her career. And what does she do? Of course, she sinks it. The fans go nuts. She becomes the 20th player in Elan women's basketball history to hit 1,000 career points. And I talked to her after the game, and this is what she had to say about reaching such an important milestone.
Amazing. Amazing would be the word to describe tonight. It's been, a great 4 years. There's still plenty of games left, and, I'm just glad that we have the support that we had tonight, on senior night. So it was great.
Okay, Kelsey was very humble for reaching that milestone, and she looks to take on that milestone with the rest of her team, and it should be great as they go into SoCon next week. Now, remember just a half a week ago when there was snow on the ground and all of our games were postponed in sports? Well, it was 70 degrees this weekend, which made for great conditions for baseball and softball. So it started at Latham Park, where the men's team looked to get a 3-game sweep over Wofford. Crazy how North Carolina weather can work. All right, we're going to go to the bottom of the second inning, where Chris King is at the plate. A runner's trying to score, but of course, he's not going to make it in time. King with a throw, gets him out. Next, we have Sebastian Gomez. He's going to hit a sac fly all the way to left field, and that's going to bring a runner in after he tags from third. Elan is going to go on to win the game by a final score of 7-3. Now hopping over to Williamson Avenue, your women's softball team blew out Iona in the last game of the Phoenix opening tournament 10-1. And that's what we have in sports, Alex and Brennan. It was just, what a crazy, crazy week.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was pretty hard coming back to the week of classes after that full 5-day weekend. But I think we're starting to get back into the swing of things. What do we have to look forward to coming up in sports this week?
We got 2 great basketball games this week, guys. On Wednesday, the men's basketball team returns home to play Wofford, and then the biggest game of the year, March 1st against Davidson. This could decide the #1 seed for the Southern Conference going into Asheville. So, be sure to be there. It's already a sellout, they say, and Elan Local News will be there be sure to follow us on Twitter at ELN Sports for updates from that game.
Definitely. And is this the last game that we're going to be having in Alumni Gym?
For the season, correct.
For the season.
For the season, this Saturday against Davidson. So
Wow.
the last 2 home games, be sure to get out there and support your Phoenix.
Definitely one you want to make. Well, thanks, Justin. That's all the time we have for this week's Elan Local News. Be sure to stay with us throughout the week by checking our website, elanlocalnews.com.
And you can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, and tune in bright and early tomorrow at 9:50 for ELN Morning. From all of us here at Elan Local News, have a great week, Elan.